not just that we have to worry about whether there's a second financial crisis, whether central banks are doing too much quantitative easing, whether that's creating another bubble, and what happens when that bubble bursts. I'm hoping that the Cyprus bank situation might at least mitigate some of the damage should those bad results happen. But we still have the fiscal crisis with us.
In Monaco, day 2 of the 11th International Forum of the Convention of Independent Financial Advisors began by cutting across pressing issues, from what it will take to save the financial system and the effects of banking regulation to uncovering oversight of European banks.
If you have a true functioning market, you have failure, you have fluctuation. Failure is a fantastic thing. Failure teaches you to be careful. Well, we've trained a bunch of people over the past 20, 30 years not to be careful, that governments can control anything that goes down. They will prevent going down. So don't worry about it. Take on more risk.
The quantity of credit is going to decline. I mean, it's not so profitable to make loans, or else they're going to pass it on to the customer in higher spreads. And therefore, we have a problem, another credit crunch coming up. I mean, Obama always goes on, why aren't banks lending? Well, I can tell you why. It's higher capital requirements in part.
I mean, who pays ultimately is the real economy with this system. We pay in terms of increasing detachment of the financial world from the real economy. And so we have people out of work, we have a growing divergence in the distribution of wealth and of income. We have global imbalances, we have tensions, social tensions, political tensions, we have commercial wars, and so of course this is creating a lot of trouble worldwide.
You look at Canada, Australia, South Africa, where I grew up, they have extremely concentrated banking systems, okay? They have never had a financial crisis, none of those countries, right? They have single institutions that do both commercial and investment banking. They have not had a problem. 2008 was not a London whale on steroids. Right? That was not the problem. The problem was investment banks were holding these assets as riskless investments on their balance sheets. They were not necessarily trading in them.
In 2008, it was realized that practically everything went wrong with banking supervision. We had too big to fail banks. That means those with implicit government guarantees. We had worldwide too many banks with explicit government guarantees. That means state-owned banks. Europe is full of state-owned banks.
Well, I think we need to focus on what really matters in financial regulation. It's not about being reactive, coming out with a change to solve a crisis, to solve a problem. You need to be proactive. In today's globalized world, I think you need regulations that will make your industry, your profession, your economy, your country more competitive.
Day-long roundtables and workshops tackled the consequences of international banking regulation, analyzed alternative banking instruments, explored the power of the independent financial advisor, and revealed the socio-economic impacts of disease on the global economy.
The principle is that before these local exchanges, we don't need an international currency. We simply need a local unity of account equivalent to the euro. We measure it by the same basis as the euro, but it is not convertible. It's simply used as a unity of account in this clearinghouse, in which we record the debts and credits of the companies vis-a-vis their suppliers and their purchasers.
Unhappy with Basel III. But if you don't trust the regulators, as we had the discussions this morning, and you don't trust the 29 systemically important institutions, what are your options? The paper that is outside that has been made available to you by the Cicero Group picks up the thought I want to present, which is breaking up that which is too big to fail.
This industry faces three major challenges. First, the size of certain players gives rise to major systemic risk for the economies they serve and on which they depend. Second, the existence of numerous conflicts of interest within many banking groups means they can no longer guarantee to protect their clients' interests. And finally, the general deterioration in its image is having a detrimental effect on the economic model, which relies on the confidence of clients in order to work efficiently.
Experts at the three-day CIFA forum underlined the lack of a responsible financial environment, resulting in what is still a fragile, deficit-ridden, and jobless economy. By exposing government policy that perverted a moral breakdown to reviewing sustainable answers, such as independent nonprofit rating agency options, to the use of social media in facilitating inline interests of the independent financial advisor and the investor with government support. The 2013 CIFA Forum themed "Can the World Financial System Be Reformed?" runs through April 26th. We'll be back tomorrow with continued special coverage on the third and closing day of the 11th International CIFA Forum. For South South News, I'm Afaf Kanja reporting from Monaco.